So I have been a medical student, and though some believe it's impossible to graduate without an iPad, I still managed to do it. I have seen the videos about how people take amazing notes on their iPads. It's like a piece of art. But that said, I don't believe that they are essential for medical students or other students, and definitely not compared to a computer. Hi, I'm Thomas Alexander, a Danish junior doctor. I did have an iPad mini, but I never owned an iPad Pro. But I do know friends who have purchased them, after watching YouTube videos that told them that they were necessary. I will cover who I believe the iPads are for, why I think laptops are superior, and my experience owning an iPad mini that I used to carry in my uniform. So who are iPads for? Firstly, let's get it out of the way that the iPad 11-inch is $800. Then alright. Secondly, you need to be able to read your own handwriting. Doctors are notorious for having bad handwriting, and when I look at my old notes, I'm barely able to read them anymore.
A YouTube video together by writing stuff down and doing arrows and doing boxes and making it.
But the iPad is pretty handy for digitizing those notes. So you later on can go back to the note and add to it, or if you learn something new or something has to be changed, you can easily do it. The people who love to make beautiful notes and like to draw is now able to spend less time on their notes if they mess up. I think we all know someone that is particularly anal about their notes, and if they mess up, they have to redo the whole page again. And yes, some students are like that, whatever works for them. I think all of us has tried to remember something from a PowerPoint presentation, and the only thing we could remember was that the PowerPoint was blue and it had some green text. I think spending more time looking at your notes and making them pretty makes it easier for you to recall them. But it is discussable whether or not this is an optimal way to study. Not that everything has to be optimized, but I think optimization does lead to less exam stress and better grades. My belief is that you should be able to take your notes quick, and I think the iPad is interrupting with that idea. You should be able to note down whatever your professor is saying in a heartbeat so you can process it later. Having to write stuff by hand is slow, just as slow as typing on that iPad screen, at least compared to a regular keyboard. The main point of my notes is to later translate them into flashcards. I use Quizlet, which is a flashcard app, just like Anki, but a bit more basic. So since the notes only serve to make new flashcards or make old flashcards better, my only interest is to take the notes quick, which the iPad doesn't do for me. So I would encourage you to think about the end goal. Mine is to be able to gather and store as much information as quickly as possible. So that is why I think computers are superior. Okay, so I use a computer for everything, but let's look at some of the points Kharma Medic has about his iPad and let's compare it to the computer. No beef against Kharma, cool guy, I just have a different view about the whole iPad is a must for medical students. Let me see what his arguments are to get an iPad Pro. Let's take a look here, Kharma Medical. Thanks for the overview. Eliminate clutter, having all text digital. Yeah, sure, but a computer can do the same as well, and sometimes it's not just you that has to read your notes. But if you were to share them, I would rather read something that was typed using a keyboard instead of a pen, instead of reading someone else's handwriting. Control F, yeah, a computer can do that as well, and you can even get plugins to make your search more precise. Portability. Let's see, an iPad 12.9 inch is 631 grams, with a keyboard that is 720 grams, that is a total of 1.35 kilos. And the M1 MacBook Air is 1.29 kilos. The iPad 11 inch comes in a bit lower, but no one is going to break their backs carrying this around. And I much prefer sitting with the computer for typing as it is much more sturdy. And I'm easily able to sit in chairs, sofas and other places that relate to having a bad posture. 1,000 in one pen, sure. Compared to a notepad and 10 pens, I gotta give it to the iPad, that is pretty handy. Extra screen? Well, then you are using your computer anyway. Multitasking, a computer does that better. Same as paper. iPad wins, but a notebook is $2. Or get a Rocketbook for $30. I have one of those and I bring them whenever I think a computer is overkill to bring. Information retention. A computer does this just as good. And I remember the students that did bring an iPad for class. 95% of them would use the keyboard anyway. Ability to edit. Computer again. Apps. There are some pretty good apps, but they are probably not what makes you the best student. Just read the stuff, take the notes. And I also believe a computer is better suited for this part. Like Notion, it's just better on the computer. Organization, a computer is superior. Again, many use Notion, OneNote or Evernote, and I've just find it works better on a desktop version. No paper ever. I think he has a valid point about this one. I have tried to get rid of paper, and it will find you. I got a Rocketbook to eliminate my paper waste. That's the best alternative that I've found. I used the Rocketbook to make scribbles in it while doing flashcards. I have a video about it explaining why here. Travel, again, I find it much more useful to have a laptop as I can sit in various weird positions and still get something serious done. I have tried using a Bluetooth keyboard together with the iPad mini or my iPhone, but I do find it a bit weird. Is anybody really able to type fast on an iPad screen? Online backup and storage? Check, a computer does that. Which iPad should I buy? Well, if you don't have a laptop, I would start with a laptop. I own an iPad mini and I thought it would be really useful to chug one around the hospital. That way I could look stuff up whenever I was in doubt about something. But I was always afraid of leaving it behind when I was to attend an operation. And now, being a doctor, I find that the stuff you don't have time to look up, you should keep in a small notebook. And for the rest of the time, when you do have time to look something up, you can just use the hospital computer or use my smartphone. Since upgrading to one of the new M1 MacBooks from my old 2011 MacBook Pro, I actually do bring my laptop every day for work. The battery life will last me a few days. I hope I have saved you some money since the iPad route is more expensive. I don't know what is right for you, but I do hope this helps you make a better decision. It isn't necessary to have an iPad to be a student.